side. Three very, very good cattle. But I think an easy class in terms of the way it falls into place.
Name where you're from and tell us about your greenhouse.
I'm Aiden Bogert from Wimberley, Texas. 8x8 greenhouse, 8 foot, pretty big, tall, nice.
We got a Dripping Springs FFA market swine.
All right, like Mike said, we're about to get kicked off with our lamb show this afternoon. I would like to take just a moment to introduce our judge to those of y'all that are not familiar with him. Our judge today, this morning and this afternoon, is Mr. Eric Zimmerman. Eric is the District Extension Administrator for the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension service there in College Station. He served as the county agent in Tom Green, Llano, Grimes, and Brazos counties. He is a native of Menard, Texas, home of the Fighting. What's the Menard? What's y'all's mascot at Menard? Yellow Jackets. I knew it was something like that. And received his Bachelor's of Science and Master's of Science degrees from the Texas A&M University in the Department of Rangeland Ecology and Management. He has judged over 350 lamb and goat shows throughout the United States. Eric is married to his wonderful, beautiful wife, Stephanie, and they have two 20-year-old twins, Jackson and Ramsey, who both exhibited lambs and goats during their 4-H career. They are currently both sophomores at Texas A&M University. Let's put our hands together for Eric. We really do appreciate him being out here this afternoon.
Well, welcome everyone. We're delighted you could join us here at the Sheep Show this evening. If you tried to get the Home Skills Show but missed it, well, I understand. There wasn't any internet down there. Once the room filled up with a couple hundred people looking at all the exhibits, we lost internet connection. So we did record the show, and we'll upload that sometime here this evening, Lord willing, and we'll have that for everyone to watch. Hopefully
First call,
afternoon, or tomorrow
Class
morning,
1,
or late
Southdown.
tonight.
Start making your way to the holding pen, please. Class 1, Southdown. To the holding pen, please. Our awards today for the breeding show. Grand Champion Breeding Ewe, buckle donated by Sunset Construction and Excavation. Our Reserve Champion Breeding Ewe, buckle donated by Lindsay Wright. Y'all be sure and tell these people thank you when you see them.
Nice class of females in this Lamb class. Little differences from first, second, and third. I think there's some give and take. The ewe that wins the class, I love her in terms of her body. I love her in terms of her length. I love her in terms of her balance on the side. I think she comes out of her shoulder just a bit better in terms of her neck placement. For me, in terms of stoutness, she's stout enough for me today. She dominates the class in terms of handling. She's the most expressive down her top line. I think she's just a bit more expressive in terms of her stifle. What do we want to change her? Every once in a while when you get her on the move, she wants to get her down through her chest floor just a little bit instead of running uphill and staying clean up through that chest floor. It's getting real critical. She's long by, she handles really well. You in second, just a notch shorter from flank to flank. This is the one we talk about neck placement. She wants to get a little bit forward in that neck as compared to coming out of those shoulders. You can see how she wants to suck down a little bit, but you put your hands on her. She's smooth down her top. She's deep in her loin. She's not quite as dimensional out of her hip and her stifle, but I love her from the ground up. She's stout made, great in terms of her appearance from the side, balances up extremely well. She's another one that when you get her on the move, and it's probably because of that neck placement, she wants to kind of trend down just a little bit, but a really nice handling sheep. Big old powerful ewe in third. Again, one maybe not quite as nice in terms of a build from the ground up, but certainly one that's got a big rack in her. She doesn't wedge up quite as nicely in terms of the way her blades and her shoulder blend into her to her body. Again, one that's got some power. She's just not quite as nice and neat up to that front third as she is powerful, but certainly one that you have to appreciate her for her volume of muscle. Very competitive class. Let's give our ewe lamb exhibitors a round of applause before we move into our market lamb show. Good job.
All right, well, the Class 1 was Barrett Collins, Kennedy Lorenzen, Lily Alishire, Carson Schrader, and Porter Price. And coming up here in Class 2 will be
Second
Lily.
call. Class 1, Southdown to the holding pen.
I'm sorry, folks. Apparently we're one off. Those might have been breeding sheep or something. Maybe we got Class 1 coming in now.
Carson Schrader to the holding pen. Carson to the holding pen with your Southdown, please. We're getting some pictures out of the way for the breeding class. Got our Southdown class next. Our champion Southdown buckle, donated by Alicia and Alan Fee. Our reserve champion Southdown buckle, donated by Wimberley FFA alumni. Class 2 Southdown, start making your way to the holding pen, please. Class 2 Southdown to the holding pen.
All right, now we got the 411. So that previous class that came out was the breeding sheep, and most of y'all probably knew that, but I just thought I'd fill you in case you didn't. This is Class 1 of the Southdowns. In this group, Porter Price, Carson Schrader, Lily Alishire, Kennedy Lorenzen, and Barrett Collins.
Our 2023 breeding champion, Morgan Hernandez. Our reserve champion, Ansel Marcantel.
You know, Lightweight Southdown, it's a young man's weather here to win this class. Does so really easily. This is the most complete sheep. He's the firmest handling sheep. He's the most dominant in terms of shape. He's just powerful down his top. He's huge in terms of his stifle. He's deep in his twist. To me, again, stout from the ground up. Wants to get a little bit of middle in him so he doesn't bounce up quite as well as in terms of his lines on the side. But he's correct in his condition. He's powerful down his top. He's firm to the touch. That's where he excels our second place sheep. The lamb is really balanced up and stout made too. He's long bodied. Again, he's the one that he's trending towards being a little fuller as well, very, very similar to our first place sheep. But he just doesn't have the shape down his top. He's a little flatter in his stifle. He's not as dimensional at his hip. He's certainly a lot softer handling, so we need to firm him up. The young lady's sheep in third, again, he's got some power down his top. Maybe not quite as nice, as eye-appealing and balanced up as what we see in first and second. He's definitely the heaviest conditioned sheep of our top three. We got to clean him up over his ribs if we make him more competitive. Real long-bodied sheep, elevated one in the fourth place hole. One that's a little hollow, so he doesn't look quite as balanced as what we'd like to see. He's the one that gets the tick off from his hooks to his pins, but he's certainly a long body. We just need to power him up a bit more to make him more competitive. And the ewe-lamb to round the class out. Probably the most balanced sheep from the size what we see in this class. She just doesn't have as much product in her skeleton. She gets a little bit flatter in terms of her stifle, not near as wide in terms of base width when she tracks away from you. So we got to power her up as well. Nice competitive class, nice class winner. Let's give our Southdown exhibitors at a Class 1 a round of applause. Good job.
Class 2 Southdown to the holding pen. Our results, Class 1 Southdown. First, Barrett Collins. Second, Carson Schroeder. Third, Kennedy Lorenzen. Fourth, Lily Alshire. Fifth, Porter Price.
All right, well, this is our Southdown class number 2. Lily Alshire, James Hernandez, Megan Hernandez, Dane Duggar, and Anastasia Ambuel.
It's a really good one to start this heavyweight class off with. Really nice looking, really built exceptionally well. One that's just powerful, one that's smooth down his top. He's extended through his front end. He's clean through his chest floor, stout from the ground up. He's really good in his lines. You get to him and take a look at him at three-quarter view. He's got that good pin set. He's good in his hip dimension. For me, he wins the class really easily. Young man's goat or sheep in second, long-bodied, one that's got some shape down his top. He's got some hip in him. He's, again, one that's built really nice from the ground up. Probably just a little bit longer from flank to flank. Where do we criticize him? He's getting a little bit more unacceptable in relation to his condition over his ribs as compared to what we see in the class winner. I'd say the class winner, he's kind of close. He's close. I wouldn't put him. I wouldn't get him fatter. But the second place sheep is carrying too much condition for me today. But in relation to how he's built and what he brings to the table in terms of length of body, I think he fits that second place hold. These two sheep should be switched. Again. The sheep in third, this ewe lamb, to me, long-bodied, handles well. To me, maybe not quite as nice in terms of design, but I think this sheep's just a bit better in terms of his condition in relation to what we bring to the table. Next sheep in the run up here, handles real fresh, real smooth, but really heavy condition sheep. Got to clean this sheep up over his ribs. Then we get into one that's got lots of power. It's a big-ended sheep, and I say that because he's a little bit too bold up to his front third. He's got just a little bit too much shoulder, doesn't wedge up quite now. Well, really, sheep to me not as nice in terms of his forerib, but a lot of product in the skeleton, just not near as clean up through his front third. Really nice class winner. Let's give them a round of applause. Good job.
Our results, Class 2, Southdown, first place, Megan Hernandez. Second place, James Hernandez. Third place, Dane Duggar. Fourth place, Lily Alshire. Fifth place, Anastasia Ambuel.
Take a look at these Southdowns. Again, two classes, and so, again, there weren't but 5 in each class, but certainly ones that, for me, are really nice and built right. The lightweight sheep just dominated that class in terms of build. Certainly the heavyweight sheep is built right, handles right, runs uphill, is really exceptional. You take a look at the next two. We talk about the second place sheep in lightweight. He's built right, just really soft to the touch and handle. Just kind of dips right there at that hip-pulling junction. The young man's class 2, second place, again, superior in terms of his length of body. To me, he's really long-fronted, but again, this is one that's kind of a little bit softer in his condition, a little bit softer in his touch, so we'd like to change that. For me, it gets down to handle and touch and correctness of condition. The couple that bring themselves to the table in that champion reserve role is the young lady out of the heavies. Let's give her a round of applause. That's your champion. The lightweight's your reserve. Good job.
Class 1, fine wool cross to the holding pen. Class 1, fine wool cross to the holding pen. Class 1, fine wool to the holding pen, please. Class 1, fine wool to the holding pen.
moving to fine wool breed division. The young man's weather, this champion fine wool, he dominates the class in terms of power. He dominates the class in terms of stoutness. He's not the longest bodied sheep in this class, but he's certainly the best handling. He's the most powerful in terms of his stifle. He's the most dimensional at his hip. He's the most powerful in terms of depth of twist. What we have faulted him on, he's full, and it makes him doesn't make him look eye appealing from the side, makes him look even shorter bodied than he really is. I'd like to take some of that middle portion of his body off of him. I think if we tuck him up through his middle cavity, it makes him even better and better. But certainly one that's got some dimension at his hip. To me, I think he's just a little bit better in terms of his lines. Really interesting sheep in the second place hole. Really long body sheep, very firm to the handle. He doesn't have quite the shape down his top. He certainly doesn't have the dimension on his hip. He tapers towards his tail head just a bit more. He's the one that gets a little bit flatter in terms of his stifle. He's a little bit hollower in his flanks, so he just doesn't look as nice at the three-quarter viewpoint. One, to me, he gets a little bit deeper up through his forerib and his heart and in his lines in relation to our class winner. I love his length of body. I like his elevation. I like his touch in terms of his rack. The young man's sheep in the third hole. Again, a little bit different made one. He's a little bit coarser. He's certainly plainer through his front third. He's certainly plainer through his forerib. You can see how he gets a little bit higher flank. To me, he doesn't balance up quite as well. He's got some muscle down his top line. Maybe not quite as fresh in terms of his loin handle as what we see in first and second, but his rack shape's good enough for me today when you compare him to our fourth place sheep. The greenest handling sheep in the class. Long-bodied, elevated, probably a little bit better in terms of his lines as compared to our third-place sheep. Just doesn't have quite the product down his top line, his skeleton, the middle and lower portion of his leg. He gets dominated in that aspect, but certainly one that you have to look at him from the eye appeal and appreciate that about him. Nice competitive class in terms of our champion, first, second, third, and fourth in our final division. Good job.
In that fine wool class, we had Presley Geeson, we had Barrett Collins, Dane Duggar, and Peter Stanton. Now we're going to move to the fine wool cross, class 1.
Class 1, fine wool cross. Make your way to the holding pen, please. Class 1, fine wool cross. To the holding pen, please. Our placing in the fine wool, first place, Peter Stanton. Second place, Barrett Collins. Third place, Dane Duggar. Fourth place, Presley Geeson. Our buckles for the fine wool, donated by Robin Clausen, Robin Rippey Scott. Our reserve champion buckle, Affinity, Cantera, and Stone Jared, and Teresa Alshire. All right, we're ready to start Fine Wool Cross, Class 1. Class 2, Fine Wool Cross. Start making your way to the holding pen, please.
Here we go. This is Fine Wool Cross, Class 1. I think we had the previous class mislabeled, but that was Fine Wool, and this here is Fine Wool Cross, Class 1. All right, the 4 competitors in this group are Clayton Engler, Brady Barbie, Javier Salinas, and Vanessa Ruiz.
Our Fine Wool Cross buckles donated. The champion buckle, Mark and Mary Manley. Reserve champion Fine Wool Cross buckle, Ben and Terry Brown. Appreciate y'all's help.
It's a real powerful ewe lamb to win this class. She's really dominant down her top, really fresh to the handle. She's explosive in terms of her stifle. Really, really powerful. Where you want to pick her apart, we want to elevate her up through her front just a bit. We want to clean her up over her ribs. She's kind of getting a little excessive in terms of condition. That does attribute to having that fresh handle, but certainly I think we can accommodate that with maybe just a little bit more trimliness over her ribs. Really dominant sheep, though, in my mind, in terms of her handle to win the class. Really elevated, long-bodied sheep in second, one that's not near as powerful down his top, and in terms of his leg is what we see in our class winner, but one that's probably a little bit more correct in terms of his condition. Wish he was a little bit more dimensional out his hip, but certainly I like his elevation. Another long-bodied sheep in the third place hole, maybe not quite as nice in terms of hip design as what we'd like to see. This is one that gets a little bit more common, a little bit plainer up to that front third and that fore rib. To me, a little bit more forward through that shoulder, so we'd like to change that about him as well. Then we get into the ewe lamb. This is probably one of the ones that's built really nice. She just doesn't have enough product on her skeleton. She gets a little bit light in terms of her muscle, in terms of her stifle. She's certainly a little bit light in terms of muscle and the depth of loin, but certainly one that's got a big hip in her and long body and balanced up. We just need more product on that skeleton to make her more competitive. Nice class of fine wool crosses in class number 1 in their lightweights. Good job to these 4 exhibitors. Give them a round of applause.
Class 2, fine wool cross. Time to show.
Okay, and final cross Class 2. Class 2, we got Eliana Hurtado, Camden Crow, Marlena Moore, and Morgan Hernandez.
It's real nice, fresh handling sheep. To win this class really excels the class in terms of elevation. It excels the class how the sheep gets up off the ground. He's stout from the ground up. Again, the freshest handling sheep of the class. He's the best in terms of his rack shape. He's the more definitive down his top. He's better in terms of his loin. He's got some explosion in terms of his stifle. I like him in terms of depth of twist. Where do we kind of want to pick him apart? I want to change his pin set just a little bit. He wants to taper towards his tail head just a little bit more than ideal. We'd like to give him just a bit more dimension on his hip, but that's getting critical because it's a really fresh and really nice handling sheep to win this class. Sheep in second, one that's a little bit lower profile. He's the one that gets a little bit deeper through his middle portion of his body. To me, he's the one that's just a little bit different in terms of his hide. Today, he's a little bit rougher down his hide, maybe not as fresh to the handle. You get on top of him, he's explosive in terms of a rack. I like that about him. Where he gets beat, he just doesn't have the handle in that loin, doesn't have the depth of the loin. That transition there is not near as nice. I do like his pin set. I like to take that little notch off his tail just a little bit because he wants to get a little bit rounder out his hip as compared to our class winner. Those are a nice duo up in the first and second. Long-bodied, final kind of sheep in third that made the crosses here. Again, not quite as nice and definitive down his top. He's not as grooved up as what we see in first and second. Certainly not as deep in terms of his loin. To me, he gets a little bit deeper through his forerib. He just kind of doesn't really wedge up. He doesn't balance up. I'd like to drop his flank. He's the one that gets a little rounder out of his hip as well. Maybe not near as explosive in the inner portion of his leg. And then we get into a sheep to round the class out. Probably a little bit heavier condition in relation to what we're looking at. Again, he wants to get a little bit higher flank. He just has not near as much power down his top line. He gets a little flatter in his stifle. He's a little bit finer made from the ground up, so I'd like to change that about him. Really competitive class, though, in heavyweights. Let's give these four ladies a round of applause. Good job.
Results, Class 2, Fine Wool Cross. First place, Morgan Hernandez. Second place, Camden Crow. Third place, Marlena Moore. Fourth place, Elena Hurtado.
really nice champion drive of our fine wool crosses. ULAM win the lightweights just overpowered that class. We could see that. It's easy. This sheep, again, just really powerful. We talked about this class. We want to get this sheep up and elevate just a bit more in relation to the power he brings to the table. To me, again, we'd like to clean this sheep up over her ribs. She's getting, spongier than what we like to see, and that certainly affects the freshness of the handle. When you get one with that much condition, they're going to handle fresh. Smooth handling, powerful hip kind of sheep. I really like that one in the lightweight class. Long and elevated kind of sheep. To me, again, maybe not quite as dimensionalized hip as what we'd prefer, but certainly in terms of correctness condition, in terms of the way that sheep just runs uphill, he's just exceptional in terms of his neck placement, long-fronted, good rib, long body, measures well, does not disappoint in terms of handle. A really, really nice in the own aspect. Then we get into a couple in the second place roles. Again, a little bit different in their design. To me, they had to move up in those second place holes in relation to their contemporaries in the class because they just handle better, and so that's why we put them in that second place. Again, it gets down to a couple sheep here. There's one more complete, better handling, more correct over his ribs and condition. That's going to be your champion. Your heavyweights, their lightweights, your reserve. Good job.
Our champion, fine wool class, Morgan Hernandez. Our reserve champion, Brady Barbie. Buckles for the champion, donated by Mark and Mary Manley. Our reserve champion buckle, Ben and Terry Brown. Dorper, Class 1 Dorper to the holding pen, please. Class 1 Dorper to the holding pen. Class 2 Dorper, start making your way to the holding pen, please. Class 2 Dorper, make your way to the holding pen, please. Buckles for our Dorper class today. Champion and reserve champion buckles donated by Barbie Ranch. Shane Barbie. Y'all tell Shane thank you if you see him.
It's a real cool looking one, especially on the side that wins this class. This sheep, again, for me, he's cleaner up through his forerib. He's cleaner up through his chest floor. Really, really good in terms of his lines. He's balanced up quite nicely. You get on top of him, he's just grooved up down his top. He's real square in terms of his rack. One that, to me, handles real smooth down his top line. He does a pinch at that hip point junction. Is he as dominant and as big a leg as what we've seen maybe down the line? No, but he's good enough, especially when you combine that firmness of touch and that smoothness to handle. I like him to win the class. A real powerful sheep in second. One is, again, big old grooved up top in him, big old stifling him. To me, a little bit more forward through his chest, a little bit shorter through his front third. Kind of wants to get up on his toes a little bit on his hind wheels. Doesn't want to really track out and move as well as what we'd like to see. We want to elevate him up to his front, but I really like the power on him. Another one's a little softer to the handle is our third place ewe lamb. To me, one, again, she wants to get a little bit forward through her chest floor. I do like her and her lines. I just want to firm her up a little bit. We get the next couple sheep here. Again, plenty of power down their top line, a little softer to the handle. Again, one that wants to drop his chest forward, runs a little bit downhill. Then one that gets a little bit rounder out of his hip, need to drop his flank, balance him up a little bit more, but plenty of product on him. We get to the next one over here. To me, a little bit thinner in terms of handle, a little bit lighter in terms of muscle. I like the extension. I like the length of body. We just need to put more product on that one to make him more competitive. Same way with the next couple. They just don't have the shot to shape down their top to compete with the ones ahead of them. Nice class winners up here. Let's give them all a round of applause. Good job.
Our results, Class 1 Dorper, Collie Davy first, Trent Henry second, Anaya Bynum third, Lawson Henry fourth, Heidi Bentley fifth, Jenny Falls sixth, Heidi Bentley seventh, Seth Herzog eighth.
I think these two sheep worked their way to the top. They're very similar in terms of build. The one that wins the class, just a bit more powerful, just a bit bigger hip. For me, one that's just a little bit better to the touch and handle, to really, really wide in terms of that loin. We would like to give this sheep a bit more definitive touch to him in terms of his rack, probably. So I want to change him on his hind wheels. He wants to get real funky on his hind wheels. He wants to get his neck placement's a little different. He wants to kind of get it forward too. That's part of the, his issue. But when you talk about just handle and touch, I like him to win the class. A little greener handling sheep in second. One, again, long-bodied and elevated. To me, again, just doesn't have as much product in his skeleton. He's just a little bit rawer to the touch. He's another one that wants to get his hind legs underneath him a little bit. I like to change him in his hind set just a little bit. Really, really powerful sheep in third. One that gets a little bit shorter coupled, a little bit runs downhill. He's the one that gets a little bit more forward through his chest floor, a little bit softer handle. But in terms of shape down his top, in terms of stifle, in terms of correctness finish, I think he needs to put him in that third place hold. Big old powerful sheep in fourth. This is the biggest sheep in the class, most powerful sheep in the class. He's just a little bit wastier through his middle. He's a little bit wastier through his front third. To me, a little bit more full than maybe ideal. I'd like to change that about him. Next couple of sheep here, one in fifth place, just a little bit more dominant down his top, just a little bit fresher to the handle. I'd like to change him in terms of his pin set, his hip design, and then we round the class out with a really long-bodied, elevated one for his skeleton. I'd like a little bit more depth of loin, a little bit more shape down his top. Nice class here in their heavyweights. Congratulations to these 6 exhibitors. Good job.
Our results, Class 2 Dorper. First place, Easton Davey. Second place, Lily Alshire. Third place, Savannah Scott. Fourth place, Eliana Hurtado. Fifth place, Eli Bentley. Sixth place, Eli Bentley.
Nice set of hair sheep in this champion drive. The first place, I think, for both of these sheep are similar in their build. The lightweight, again, is combines the build the design and the muscle, and we tracks him just a little bit better on his hind legs. How would we change him? Yeah, he wants to get his neck forward. He just wants to drop his head just a little bit. He's being contrary today. The heavyweight sheep, again, he's built like the lightweight. He just doesn't have near as much product and skeleton. And he did win that class because he was more dominant in relation to his contemporaries down the line, especially when you talk about design. But I wish he had just a bit more definitive top shape to him. I'd like to change him on his hind legs just a little bit. Very similar to our lightweight, big old powerful sheep. One they'll want to elevate him up, but for his frame size, his muscle fits it. To me, he does want to get up on his toes a little bit, but boy, I really love his top shape and his grooved up top in relation to his body size. Then we get in the second place out of that class, or the heavyweight class. Again, long body, just not near as powerful down his top as what we've seen in our class winner. So it gets down to, for me, into the hair sheep division. It's not a matter of matching them up and all that kind of stuff. It's a matter of who are the best two in terms of what they bring to the table in relation to their frame size and handle, and that's going to be your champion reserve. The young lady out of the lightweight is your champion. Second place out of that is going to be your reserve. Even though they're different sheep, they handle the best today. Congratulations to these young people. Good job.
Our champion in the Dorper, Collie Davey. Reserve champion, Trent Henry. Our buckles for both champion and reserve, donated by Barbie Ranch and Shane Barbie. Class 1, medium wool. To the holding pen, please. Class 1, medium wool. Make your way to the holding pen. Class 2 medium wool. Start making your way to the holding pen. Class 2 medium wool to the holding pen.
Pretty straightforward class. The weather that wins this class does so real easy. Again, this sheep is the most powerful sheep. He's stout, he's level, good in terms of his hip, good in terms of his rib. I love his pin set. Get critical. I want to blend him in just a bit in terms of that transition, that hip point transition, but certainly in terms of length of body and grooved up down his top. I like him in the class. Really interesting sheep in second. This ewe lamb is really cool made. She's good rib, great in terms of her lines, exceptional in terms of her hip. She just gets overpowered today when you compare her to the class winner. We're going to power up just a bit more in that stifle, but certainly when you put your hands on her, she doesn't disappoint. She's really smooth down her top. In fact, she may handle just a little bit better in terms of her loin as compared to our class winner. That's getting real minor, though. Again, to me, it's just not near as powerful overall, not near as big a hip is what we see in our class winner. Then we get in a couple 3 sheep here down the line. The one that's the fresher handling sheep, the third place sheep. I like this sheep down his top line. I think he's just a little bit fresher to the touch and handle, a little bit more definition at top. We'd like to change him. We'd like to stretch him out just a little bit. Fourth place, long body sheep, just a little bit rawer to the touch. This one gets a little bit off when he gets on his hind wheels or walking away from you. I like that change out about him, but I like his length of body. I like his extension up to his front third. Real tall, long-bodied sheep and fit. This lamb gets up off the ground. He's really stout from the ground up. To me, though, he gets a little higher in his flank. To me, he just needs a little bit more body, a little bit more rib, a little bit more power down his top in relation to his frame size. Really nice class winner, a competitive class of lightweight medium wools. Let's give these 5 exhibitors a round of applause. Good job.
Results: Class 1 medium wool. First, Camden Crow. Second, Clayton Engler. Third, Kylie Woodworth. Fourth, Jose Benjamin Soto. Fifth, Randall Spencer. Class 3 medium wool. Start making your way to the holding pen. Class 3 medium wool to the holding pen, please.
Nice duo of ewes up here. The young ladies just overpowers this class. She's really stout. She's built good from the ground up. She's just better in her stifle. She's better in her heart. She's better in her forerib. She's cleaner through her chest floor. You can see how she really runs uphill. She's long and elevated. I love the way that neck ties into those blades and that shoulder. You put your hands on her, really smooth down her top, just really exceptional from hooks to pins. For me, she wins the class really easily. Talked to the young lady, sometimes these black-faced sheep, you don't have to hammer down on them because they're going to handle firm. If they got good hide, they're going to handle right. And this sheep handles right. When you get him on the ground and take a look at him, he's good in his lines. He's good in his rib. He's stout from the ground up. He is powerful and up front is what we see in our class winner. No, but he's built right, especially when you get this sheep on the move. You put your hands on him, smoother down his top, more definitive in terms of his rack, certainly deeper in terms of his loin, really, really good in terms of pin set and hip design. I like him in that second place hole. Really long body sheep in third. I like the elevation. Very similar to our first place sheep in terms of length of body and elevation. For this sheep, in terms of skeleton, I have to have more power, more definition of top shape, more definition of hip, more explosion out of his hip. But I think when you talk about these three, they have to work their way to the top. He just gets overpowered today. Big old powerful sheep in the fourth place hole, a little bit coarser made, a little bit deeper middle, a little bit softer to the handle. Real big top sheep in the fifth place hole. You can see how he gets really, really deep up through his front third and heart. He really kind of different on the move. He wants to get up in his top, right behind his shoulders. Sometimes we see him break right there. He wants to get up, and that kind of makes it a little bit different in terms of his eye peel from the side. Really neat kind of design kind of sheep in the last place hole here. But this sheep gets overpowered. She just doesn't have quite the shape and the power down her top line. To me, she just want to cooperate today. A little softer to the handle, a little softer to the touch. Need to power up just a bit more. This is a nice trio up in the top end. Ladies, let's give them all a round of applause. Good job.
Real quick attention, if you had today a placing rabbit, goat, or a sheep tonight, is it imperative for our sale that we get a picture? So if you're still around and didn't get your picture taken earlier today or here participating in our sheep show tonight, please make sure you go get a picture before you leave this evening.
Results, Class 2 medium wool. First, Haley Ronshausen. Second, Penelope Soto. Third, Sarah Lamb. Fourth, Marcella Garza Gongora. Fifth, Case Crow. Sixth, Clayton Engler. buckles for the champion medium wool Lindholm Club lambs. Our reserve champion buckle donated by Backyard Cowboys Buyers Group. Y'all tell these people thank you for helping us out.
I'm glad we caught that sheep because that was a long time. And that was a pretty nice sheep. Just a little crazy, but she did a good job of sticking with him. With that said, you talk about this class. It's this one for me, and then there's decisions to make. For me, he's just again he's a combination of a lot of things that we see in second and third. He's powerful. He's cool looking. He's long bodied. He's stout. He's big footed, elevated. Really, really nice down his top line. Big hip. He's tighter. She is tighter through her middle. She's good in terms of her rib. I think she's the combo sheep. She does not disappoint. She's grooved up down her top line. She's real smooth. She runs uphill. She's clean-shouldered. I really like her to win the class. Then we start taking a look at these two. The lamb that's in second, he don't fit that one. He don't fit first. He don't fit second or third. This is a different sheep. This is the one that's just a little bit shorter-sided. You start taking a look at this sheep. Is it because he's a little bit deeper right through his middle? Yeah, probably so. He measures good enough from his 13th rib bag. He's back, very smooth to the handle. Probably because he's carrying a bit more condition than first and third. That's okay. He's not too fat. He's smooth down his top. To me, when you really take a look at him, he's just so much better in terms of his hip-point junction. Handles so much better. A really stout-made individual in his own right. You get behind him. I think he's just a little bit better in his hip design. He's just a little bit better in his pin set. Just a little bit better in his overall appearance in terms of his hooks to his pins, his pin set, and that dock. I like that about him. Yeah, would I want to stretch him out a bit more? Probably so. But we took a look at him. You could kind of go and switch these back and forth. That's the way we saw him today. I love his handle. The sheep in third is for my problem sheep because I do like him in terms of elevation. He's long-bodied. To me, you can see how he gets a little bit higher in his flanks. He's just not quite as nice in terms of his underline as compared to his top line. Wants to get just a little bit rounder on his hip, change that pin set ever so slightly. It makes a world of difference. He's stout-made, a really cool-looking one. He's probably the rawer handling one of the top three. He doesn't transition quite as well in terms of his loin. I like to change that about him. If you just want to go and look alone, you put him in second. Neither one of these sheep can beat the sheep that wins the class, so this is where the decision was. Young lady's sheep in fourth. Again, a little finer made, a little bit different made, one from the ground up, but boy, I tell you, grooved up, thin-hided, really smooth to the top. This is the one that just don't like him on his hind wheels, just a little bit different on the travel, a little bit flatter in terms of the stifle. Real powerful sheep in five. To me, a little bit coarser through that shoulder. It's probably the softer handled sheep of all the ones in the top end. Like to change that about him, but I do like that hip design as well. Very, very nice class, very competitive class, nice class winner. Just give them all a round of applause. Good job.
Results, Class 3, medium wool. First, Sierra Hampton. Second, Amanda Alderson. Third, Amanda Alderson. Fourth, Haley Ronshausen. Fifth, Bradley Peters. Sixth, Lane Garza. Seventh, Anthony Ruiz. Eight, Isabella Villas. 9, Madeline Newbill. 10, Ashlyn Brinkley.
Well, we have a minute here. Let me thank Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, Hayes County Texas Farm Bureau. We sure appreciate you guys and all your support of these kids and this production here on stock-show.live. Also want to thank the fine folks at Capital Farm Credit. Together we're better, they say, and that ain't no lie. Austin office is 512-892-4425. Also Loudon Excavating. They've been a huge help out here. Southwest Directors likewise. And Laura Gregory with Laura's Lovely Lashes.
Class 5 medium wool to the holding pen. Class 5 medium wool to the holding pen.
By far the deepest class we've seen today. A really nice set out here. For me, the one, again, it's real close. And I told this young lady that it was very close, and she got into him. I didn't get a good handle, middle part of the class, but we did at the end. He proved me wrong. He's got enough. Stout made, great ribbed, long-bodied, elevated, correct in his condition. Good profile, really good in his lines. A really stout-made sheep. We get all blinded by leg wool in today's sheep industry and sheep show and deal, and it's terrible because it's just something that shouldn't matter. All right, what matters is, are they stout-made? You could take that wool off of the legs of that sheep, and he's still stout-made. He's still big-footed. We don't have to decipher all that. But with that said, he's built right. He's really long body. He measures well. You look at him from a three-quarter view. He's big in terms of his stifle. To me, I love him at his hip. Long hip, really proportional for me. Clean through his shoulder. And I think, really, to be honest with you, he's not even close to being where he's going to be. I think he's got lots of good days ahead of him. I don't know where he's going. San Antonio, Houston, Austin, whatever else down the line here. But he'd fit the bill a lot of different places. I like him a lot to win your class. It was a very close second here in terms of these two sheep. This one, again, is probably not near as stout a made, but then again, that's getting minor. Is he as cool from the side? Certainly not. But to me, again, from really good handling sheep, big top sheep, really nice. I don't think he's near as long a bodied. I think he's a little bit different in terms of his forerib appearance. He's just not tucked up quite as nicely as what we see in our class winner, but I really like him over his ribs as well. The problem sheep for me is the ewe lamb in third, and I like her because she is massive, really explosive down her top, big in terms of her stifle, great out of her dock. She's fat. She's got a lot of condition on her, and that attributes to maybe some of that power handle. She does get a little bit off when she tracks away from you on her hind legs. She's probably the finer, made one from the ground up. Is she big enough footed for me? Certainly so. But to me, I'd like to clean her up over her ribs. To me, she's just a little bit different in terms of her handle. Not near as nice in terms of cleanliness, in terms of condition. Little rounder made blue sheep. I like the sheep's handle down his top line. Maybe not quite as fresh in his loin as what we see in first, second, and third. The sheep gets rounder. He tapers from his hooks to his pins. He gets a little bit rounder overall. Yeah, he's got a big stifle. He's got lots of power. I just want to change his hip design. Big old tall, rangy sheep in the next hole. For that bigger frame, I want more power in the middle and lower portion of his leg. Then we wrap out the class with another real powerful sheep, just a little bit coarser through his shoulder, just not designed quite as nicely. This is a really competitive class. This is a deep class from 1 through 6. Congratulations to these exhibitors. Good job.
Results, Class 4. First place, Addie Fee. Second place, Addie Fee. Third place, Riley Steinecke. Fourth place, Kellen Embry. Fifth place, Jenny Falls. Sixth place, Kelly Knock.
Well, I believe this is Class 5 of the medium wolves. We'll have the champion drive after this. Quincy Rains, Adeline Fee, Ansel Mercantile, Sierra Hampton, Annie Moore, Riley Steineke, and Morgan Hernandez make out this Class 5 of medium wool sheep.
I need all first and second. Class winners to the holding pen, please. All first and second class winners to the holding pen, please. Medium wool.
There's some give and take, I think, in getting into this big class. You know, you talk about 174, 170 pound sheep. They're going to be big. They're going to have some power. I think for me, when it comes to handle in terms of touch, the young lady's weather here fits the bill. This is a sheep that's for a 174-pound sheep. He's good in his condition. He's correct in his condition. He's long-bodied. Again, he's just explosive and powerful down his top line. A really, really grooved up top. One that's just really measurable, exceptional from 13th rib back. When she gets him stuck like this, he looks really, really good. It gets a little round out that dock. Yeah, I will give you that. And it's compared to our ewe lamb in second. For me, again, no big old powerful stifle. For me, I would like to change him when he moves. He wants to have a tendency to get his chest forward just a little bit down in relation to when he's propped up on the side. But in terms of condition and handle and touch and length of body, I like him to win the class. Ewe lamb in second, another real powerful sheep, another real fresh handling sheep, another one that's extremely powerful down her top line as well. I really love her out her hip. I love her out her dock. Where we're going to get critical. She's carrying a little. She's pushing the condition level again a little bit here. Again, for a female, though, maybe that's acceptable. But in a market show, for me, it gets a little critical. I do like her from the profile. I do like her from her touch standpoint down her top line and her freshness. I love her hip. To me, I think you put her in the second place hole. A really long-bodied sheep, a big hip sheep in the third place hole. Again, when you take a look at this one, you like him from his side. You like him in terms of the length of body. You like him in terms of his lines. This one's the one just for as big a hip he is, he just doesn't have that flat back, deep loin. He just wants to roll in that loin just a little bit, and maybe that's a product of him being so big a hip. I don't know. I just wish he was just a little bit better, just a little bit more powerful, just a little bit deeper in terms of that loin. I like the hip. I like the rack. I like the length of body. To me, again, the little not shorter-sided sheep in the fourth place hole. This one has got a big old hip. This one's got a big stifle. This one's got the depth of twist. This sheep just doesn't have the loin as compared to ones ahead of him. Will stretch him out, change his loin handle just a little bit more. I love his rack shape. But then again, you take a look at him in terms of condition, he's very similar to our second place sheep, kind of pushing the envelope a little bit there as well. Get into the next one here. Again, long body, big stout one from the ground up. Just doesn't fit me quite as well in terms of handle design and touch. I'd like to change that about him. Very competitive class of big sheep in our heavy class. Congratulations. Let's give these young people all a round of applause as well. Good job.
Our results, Class 5, first, Morgan Hernandez. Second, Riley Steinecke. Third, Quincy Raines. Fourth, Addie Fee. Fifth, Clara Hampton. Sixth, Ansel Marcantel. Seventh, Annie North. We'll start telling y'all this now. All breed champions and reserve champions must be here for the drive. After that, you will need to go to the pictures and then on to the vet room. We must have you go to the vet room tonight, immediately following this show.
Well, while we have a minute here, let me be sure and thank the folks of Wright Farrier Services. Appreciate your support of these kids, as do we appreciate PMI Pipe Steel and Supplies. New World Bakery has donated a ton of stuff in the concession this week, so big, huge help there as well. All of our sponsors this week have been critical to pulling this livestock show off, so we appreciate all of you very much.
Let's give our medium wool exhibitors a round of applause. Really nice set out here. Good job to all of our young people in this 5 weight divisions. Really nice set for me. We won't go into a whole lot of detail, but these sheep up in the front line, they really fit the bill. They just really, really cool, good handling, good finish, walk acceptable enough for me today. This has been give and take, with every single sheep here. You're always looking for the perfect one, and there's some things you have to make a decision when you're talking about and thinking about what you're going to do in an individual class, and then into an individual breed, and then overall too. With that said, start to take a look at what I like and what fits me in terms of those combination sheep today. Are going to fit the bill quite nicely. Again, an outstanding one in my mind. He's built right, handles right. He's really shoved up to his chest floor, really cool in his rib. He's not the most powerful sheep in here, but he's certainly powerful enough for me today. Let's give a round of applause for the young lady out of Class 4. That's going to be your champion. Congratulations. Really nice sheep. Good job. You look at the sheep that's in the second place hole in that class, and you bring him up, and this is where I think it gets really, really close for me in relation to following the champion. I like him. Again, it was really close here in this class or in this division. I think for me, when you really take a look at him, compare him to the next one in line, the next one in line just a little bit better in his handle, his touch, and his condition. That's going to be your reserve champion, the young lady out of Class 5. Congratulations to her. Good job.
Results in our medium wool. Champion, Addie Fee out of Class 4. Reserve champion, Morgan Hernandez out of Class 5. Lamb Showman, please do not forget If you was a breed champion or reserve champion, you must, I repeat, must go to the vet tent after this show is over today. All exhibitors, if you have not had your picture taken, please get your picture taken today with your animals. All breed champions, we need you at the holding pen with your critters. All breed champions to the holding pen, please. Attention in the lamb barn. After this drive, we will start showmanship. We will start with senior showmanship. Please be ready. If there's any Clover kids in showmanship, please tell the man at the check-in gate, please. Any Clover kids, please tell the man at the check-in gate. Thank you.
Not really nice set of sheep out here in our Grand Champion Drive, from the Southdown all the way up through the medium wool in between with our fine wool crosses and our hair sheep. They all found their way to the top because they're built right. They all found their way to the top because we handle them, and they handle really exceptionally well in relation to their contemporaries down the line in the classes and then in the breeds. For me, you really start taking a look at them. I think it gets the champion, I think, works his way to the top real easily because he is built right, designed right, and handles right. The next splitting of the hairs, in my mind, it gets a lot closer than you think in relation to reserve. The difference is the handle. If there's one out here that handles a little bit firmer, he's reserve. He's not there today. He needs to be a little bit firmer because he's built right, he looks right, he travels right, he's stout. He's just a little softer to the touch, maybe carrying a little bit more condition than ideal. I want him firmer. If we did that, then he would be reserve champion. He's not today. With that said, the young lady with the medium wool sheep here is going to be your champion. The other medium wool sheep is reserved. If there's a third overall, it'd be that Southdown. He just needs to be a little bit firmer. Congratulations to all of our exhibitors. Really, really nice show.
Okay, our grand champion, lamb for 2023, Miss Addie Fee out of Class 4. Our reserve grand champion, Miss Morgan Hernandez out of Class 5. Medium wool. Senior showman, make your way to the holding pen now. Senior showman to the holding pen. Last call for senior showman. Last call. Going in the pen. Our buckles presented to the champion medium wool Lindholm Club Lambs. Our reserve champion medium wool Backyard Cowboys Buyers Group. Our grand champion and our reserve champion Market Lamb buckles donated by Barbie Ranch and Shane Barbie. Intermediate Showman, make your way to the holding pen. Intermediate Showman, make your way to the holding pen, please.
Real competitive senior class, very competitive. Ask a couple questions. That doesn't ever split the hairs for me. I just want to see what you'll say, just for the heck of it. Sometimes I get some really crazy answers, and it's more for my amusement than anything else because, I think you still need to know stuff about your lamb projects, but does that mean you're a great showman? No. That means you're really good at skillathon, right? All right? Yeah. Anyway, you've done a good job. Your ring presence is important. Getting them shown right. Recognizing sometimes what they need to be a weak spot and changing it. If they get a little easier to top, get the top up. If they're stretched, bunch them up. Don't stretch them too far. Get them handling right. Relax, confidence, and still yet have some intensity to them. And I think that's important as well. I said this in the goat show earlier. Go have fun. That's the most important thing. You're going to win, you're going to lose, you're going to be in the middle, but certainly I think it's important to have fun. You all done an outstanding job. Again, I think we deserve more than one award, but for me, it gets down to more completeness in relation to exhibiting that lamb. Doesn't have to be the best one, but certainly needs to get everything out of them. The young lady at the very front that's going to be your champion, let's give her a round of applause. Good job.
$2,023 Senior Showmanship goes to Riley Steinecke. Last call, intermediate showman. Last call. You're going into the arena. Junior Showman. Start making your way to the holding pen, please. Junior Showman. Start making your way to the holding pen, please. All exhibitors, all species, we need your picture with the backdrop. Today, they are taking the backdrop down tonight. If you showed rabbits, if you showed sheep, if you showed goats, please go get your picture taken with the backdrop. All breed champions, you must go to the vet room. All breed champions and reserve champions. All breed champions and reserve champions need to go to the vet room immediately following this show. Our senior showmanship buckle 2023 donated by Balboa Memorial Foundation.
just like we saw in our seniors, a really good set of intermediates here. They use the arena. That's important. They use their corners. We got a big arena. Take advantage of it. We like to see these sheep at a distance to really study on them. If you are getting covered up, move. Don't be afraid to move them. Push them out a little bit, but yet still kind of try to keep them in line. Again, it gets real close here between 2 or 3 different ones. It's the minor things. It's the way you handle things. It's the way the sheep appears. It's all those things. For me, there's one that's just a little bit more flawless in their overall presentation from the very beginning to right now as they stand. That's your champion, the young lady at the very beginning. Let's give her a round of applause. Good job.
Our intermediate showman in the Lamb Show. The buckle sponsored by Wimberley FFA alumni, Miss Adeline Fee. Alias Addie. Last call, junior showmanship in the arena now. Last call. Any Clover kids going to do showmanship, you need to be in the arena now. In the holding pen now. Any Clover kids. Last call for Clover kids. Showmanship. Last call. Line up at the gate, please.
It is so close between the 5 of you. It's terrible I have to have one award. Now, show management, we've got to change that because we got to have 5 on this one. Good job. Barry, he's a good sheep there. Jake from State Farm, that's a good Southdown. Wilbur, I like that sheep. Cookie, isn't that right? I like that sheep as well. And we got Moose over here because he's big and strong, right? Yeah. You did a good job. It gets real close. It's a matter. For me. It was splitting hairs. It's efficiency. Make them look good. Don't stop. You've got to continue showing. You've got to do the small things. You've got to be in tune with your animal, and when they are not acting right and they're not set right, realizing that, but yet still having some eye contact with me. There's a lot of those things. It gets real close. One, just a little bit more efficient more often than not. It's going to be your champion, the young man, second from the beginning. Let's give him a round of applause. Good job.
Our 2023 Junior Showman, Mr. James Hernandez. Buckle donated by the Balboa Memorial Foundation. You're gonna break some. And I'm going to tell him. Last call for Clover Showman. Last call. Hurry, hurry, hurry.
Let's give our Pee-wees, our Clover kids, a round of applause. We got a couple out here in our champion and reserve champion role. I tell you, really good. It takes a, we got a big sheep over there, and we got a strong head. And I got a bunch of them in the barn, young lady, and they're all commercial. That we just, we just raise them, just keep stuff down. But boy, they're hard-headed, and that ewe lamb is not wanting anything part of this showing right now. But with that said, we have an award, I believe, for champion, correct? We have one award. I think we have two. And again, in this little role here, as compared to some of the other things, letting them go is fine because, we're giving up 60 plus, 70, 100 pounds. Not a big deal. For me, it gets down to the decision on who is more aggressive on getting that sheep shown, knowing a few things in terms of setting legs and all that kind of stuff. I think you both deserve an award. We only have one, and it's terrible that we only have one, but I think you both deserve it. But again, let's give them both a round of applause for an outstanding job. Young lady, that lamb was let go, but that doesn't bother me one bit because you were getting after it. Let's give her a round of applause. She's your champion today. Congratulations, young lady. You just won. Good job. Young man, you did outstanding. You held tight, and you didn't have to ride him or anything, even though he's about 16 times bigger than you. But for the first time out here, right? Outstanding. Don't forget, come out again. I want you out here every time you get a chance, all right? Good job.
Our 2023 Clover Kid Showmanship buckle donated by the Backyard Cowboy Buyer Group, Miss Heidi Bentley. All showmen take that got champion or reserve champion of your breed need to go to the vet room. If you have not been there, you need to get there now.